You are now listening to the Going North podcast with your host, author and speaker, Dom Brightman. And every Monday and Thursday, you're going to hear the voice of a different author share their stories, expertise, and their struggles that they had to overcome in life to leave you inspired to get more out of your life. Be sure to not only listen to this episode, but share with others, connect with the authors, and always advance others to advance yourself. Now let's get on with the show. And today on the Going North podcast, we're back at you again with yet another author, but not just any author. We have an overcomer in his house once again. And you're probably wondering who we got today. Well, this wonderful author right here, she's also an intuitive healer, a public speaker, and she's a contributor for the Huffington Post. This wonderful lady has appeared on PBS because she has found a way to heal herself of several chronic diseases, not one, but several, and she found a love for healing. And since she's found her love for healing, she is now on a mission to spread her message out to the world so that they too can find their healing. And this wonderful lady right here is the one, the only J-Ma herself, Ms. Jennifer Mannion. How are you today, sir?
I am wonderful, Dom. I'm very grateful to be here speaking with you and your listeners. Thank you.
Oh, yes, ma'am. Indeed, is glad having you. It's always good to talk with folks who overcame some sickness and can give folks some tips to actually try to overcome that. So backtracking a bit, mind telling us a bit about yourself and how you got to the whole chronic diseases to now chronic domination of just spreading your knowledge on the world?
Sure. Well, I was a young mom when I was diagnosed with, it was 4 chronic diseases. First, it was chronic mono. I always had the Epstein-Barr virus in my blood. Then it was fibromyalgia, so just that diffuse body pain and feeling like I had the flu on most days. The next was a genetic blood disorder. They said that I was more likely to have a blood clot, which I promptly manifested within a month of them telling me that. Wound up in the hospital for 5 days. And the last was the most grim. It was Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, benign hypermobility, and that led them to say that a few doctors that I would be in a wheelchair as possibly as soon as a year. And this was like my mid-30s. And I was a young mom, so very sad, of course, with that news. I woke up feeling like I had the flu most days, didn't know if I would be passing out in pain or vomiting in pain or able to just get through the day. Sometimes I was crawling down the stairs. It was very, very humbling, very upsetting to me. I did refuse a lot of the traditional medicines because I knew that if I started in my mid-30s and they said I had these diseases for the rest of my life, I didn't want to be hooked on certain medications. I refused antidepressants because I said I wanted to know how I was feeling. I was sad because I was sick, but I wasn't depressed. I did eventually give into taking some pain pills, which did allow me, I had a fear of addiction growing up in New York City, but it did allow me a few hours without pain. So I was very cognizant of taking maybe half a pill when they said to take 2 pills. But really, I followed the traditional medicine route and then the naturopathy route, and that just had me taking like 50 vitamins a day, and went to support groups. That had me feeling more depressed because it was usually a lot of people just kind of one-upping each other with how bad their life was. It wasn't very supportive, and I really felt like I became my diseases. The more I read about it on the internet, the more symptoms I would have. Felt very just weak, and my self-talk was really bad. Unfortunately, when we're sick, we don't give ourselves the kindness that we would give someone else, a loved one, when we're sick. We're beating ourselves up about what we feel we can't do, and our pain is very real, so we're focused on the pain, which doesn't help the pain alleviate. So I had gone all the traditional routes. Nothing had worked, and there were a couple things that led to my healing. One was I did meet a good friend, and we knew we would love each other immediately. We had kids about the same age, and I began to like go for walks with her and rediscover who I was, because becoming a mom, a lot of times when we become these roles, you know, we become a parent, we become a spouse, we are whatever job we have, whatever role we are in the family, and I was really insulting myself on all of those things. I felt like I wasn't a good enough mom or wife or friend or daughter because I wasn't able to do the things I wanted to do. And meeting this woman just kind of opened my eyes to remembering some of my good qualities and the qualities I had. And then that opened me up to seeing the movie The Secret that had been recommended to me actually for about a year before I did see it. And watching that movie, it just resonated with me a couple things. I had been a psych major. I graduated from Penn State with a BA in psychology. And I hadn't really looked at the mind and what I was telling myself. And there are a couple things in that movie that triggered my healing and my looking at things differently and beginning to heal. One of them was the gratitude, that where we're focusing our energy really matters. And I know that being sick, I was focused on being sick. I was focused on the pain. I was focused on what I couldn't do. And so I started to switch that around and be really grateful for the fact that I had a comfy bed to lay in, the fact that I could still read to my kids, even though, you know, I couldn't run after them the way I wanted, the fact that I did have a support system. And the second thing from the movie was that our body's always recreating cells. And again, where we put our energy contributes to what kind of cells are being made. And that made a lot of sense to me. If I'm telling myself I'm sick over and over and over again and focusing on the pain, I'm not allowing my body to create healthy cells. So I said, after watching that movie, I was like, you know what? I haven't tried this approach yet. What I'm going to do is I'm going to cancel my doctor appointments. There was nothing really, you know, immediately that I had to go to. I think I had to go to my blood thinner appointments. But other than that, I canceled doctors because they were just doing more and more tests. And I said, I'm going to focus on healing instead of being sick. And every day and every night I would begin it and end it with gratitude. I would focus my attention on the parts of my body that didn't hurt and really bring in that thankfulness for that part of my body being healthy. I started really listening to myself and the way I was talking to myself. Am I telling myself positive, uplifting thoughts, or am I telling myself negative, disempowering thoughts? And watched a whole lot of and listened to Wayne Dyer, Deepak Chopra, Eckhart Tolle, and found the prayer Ho'oponopono, which is a prayer of forgiveness, which really helped me, too, to dive deep into self-forgiveness. And within 3 weeks, all my pain was gone. And it took about a year for me to go to the doctor to get my release from being on the blood thinner. They said I would be on for life. But even then, the doctor said that with my mind where it was then, it would have been more harmful to me to stay on the blood thinner than to get off of it. So I've been pain and medication free for about 12 years now, and it really just ignited I wanted to shout from the rooftops after something, you know, better, that you can heal yourself. And people didn't want to hear where I was going, the support groups and stuff, so I wound up learning how to blog and write about it, and just really jump-started my spiritual journey into learning about mindfulness, consciousness, the mind-body connection, and it's been a passion ever since. I don't even know how many classes I've probably certified in, like over 15 different healing and energy modalities. Plus, I just really love working with people on the mind, on simple and easy tools to reclaim that self-love, to go within and erase some of those stories that we've created from maybe our not-so-pleasant childhood up until now, maybe relationships that didn't serve us, and really empower people to know that they deserve everything that they want in life, and really push past those limits. Because, you know, I was told I'd be in a wheelchair. I was in a marriage that wasn't serving me. I was, you know, really didn't have any hope too much for me future for work. And, you know, since I've become a published author, I met the love of my life. I have a good relationship with my 2 teenage kids. And I have a career that I absolutely love, you know, helping others to feel empowered and heal themselves.
Woohoo!
So that's the short version. Thank you.
Yeah, but that's awesome, though. I mean, being able to, like, overcome those illnesses through changing your mindset from one way to another. It's like, funny enough, it kind of reminded me of Dennis Kimbrough when he mentioned how he got out of school and he wanted to focus and study on wealth and didn't want to study broke people because it's like, what are you going to learn from them? So it's
right.
like, hey, let me just focus on health, and it actually worked. And it's really a testament to mind power and just being able to actually get to do those things that you want to do. Because at one time they said you weren't able to dance, right? Because you're in a wheelchair, but you're probably doing salsa dancing now, right?
Well, they said I would wind up in a wheelchair, and dance had always been part of my life. And actually, about a year, when I was diagnosed with that last illness, they told me I shouldn't dance. And, I mean, I had even been dragging myself to yoga dance classes, even if I could barely move, just to be in that energy was helpful to me. But they told me that they were forbid me actually to dance, and about a year after healing I was in a belly dance troupe for 5 years. So yes, and dance is still a really big love in my life.
Woohoo, me likey. So not only mindset, which is very, very important, but also I believe you got into chakra healing, right?
Yes. And I mean, the mindset is part of that changing your energy. Just as I said, you know, our body's always creating cells. We're 99.999% new in 11 months. So where we put our emotions, where we put our thoughts, it makes a difference, and it changes our energy, which allows our physiology to change. And chakras, I think, are so valuable because I feel they are our inner diagnostic system. It's kind of our way to communicate with our body. I wish we were taught that in school, you know, from a young age, so that it's what Eastern medicine is based on. And now they're the first thing I go to if I feel out of alignment or any kind of, or just say my throat hurts. I will go to, okay, that's the fifth chakra. What am I not speaking my truth about? What am I not hearing the truth about? So it is really powerful to understand how we can listen to our body, because our body is always sending us messages.
Yeah, that's right. It's the good email, the instant email.
Yes. Well, we got to cut off things to tune in and hear it.
That's right. And it can't go in the spam folder either, or the compound all the time, right?
You're right. You're right. It is one you want to get early on, because the body will get louder. You know, the symptoms will get more intense. You really do want to be tuned in and take that time every day to just kind of check in with yourself. How am I doing? You know, it could take literally like 2 minutes to just tune in, ask yourself, you know, is anything out of alignment? What can I look at to bring into my life to bring that into alignment? But it really is about getting quiet, turning everything off, and really listening to that inner voice.
Oh, yeah. And is that also one of the recommended paths to change right there, just getting quiet and listening to the inner voice?
It is really important, Dom, especially with there's so many ways to distract ourselves now or numb out and not be present. And it truly is through mindfulness and consciousness that we can heal and actually have the best life in no matter what area of our life we want to pursue. If we don't know what we want to be happy, you know, or what will bring us into alignment, we're really not going to be attracting it into our lives. A lot of people, when you ask them how they're doing, they go to the first negative thing. Oh, well, this hurts, or oh, well, that happened. You know, we're really not trained, you know, to really sit in that positive. And I love when I do ask someone how they're doing, they're like, I'm fantastic, you know, this is awesome, you know, I'm doing this. But really it's in getting quiet and asking ourselves, okay, well, what relationships are going well in our lives? What can maybe use healthier boundaries or resetting? How is our environment? You know, what are we listening to? Is our house neat or is it cluttered? You know, all of these things contribute to our energy. And unless we get present and truly notice them, we're just kind of running around on autopilot, and we're not allowing for new things to enter our lives. I heard a powerful quote a while back that the average human has 60,000 thoughts a day, 95% of them are the same as yesterday, and 80% of them are negative. So that gives us a lot of wiggle room to, if we get present, to change that, to not only invite new thoughts in by maybe taking those quiet moments or by learning something new or pursuing a passion, meeting new people, but also watching those negative thoughts and really bringing in more of what we do want instead of focusing on what we don't want.
Oh, yeah, that's right. The published secret, y'all. It ain't a secret no more. It's like Victoria's Secret. We know what's in there.
It is. It is a powerful tool, and it's been written about for hundreds of years. You know, Napoleon Hill and all these great minds have written about this, but we've gotten distracted and overwhelmed, I think, with technology and things moving so quickly, and it's not taught really ever in school to go inward every day, you know, how important that mindfulness is. And there's little windows of time, too. A lot of people say, well, I don't have time for that. Yeah, I don't have time to meditate hours a day. Well, yeah, I don't think most people do. But even checking yourself during the day, in the shower, are you going through your to-do list, or are you present and setting intentions for your day? When you wake up in the morning, you're saying, ow, this hurts, or, oh, this is going to really be horrible today, or this person's going to say that, or are you grateful that you woke up and, you know, maybe the sun is shining? So really taking those, your commute, on your way to sleep at night, like just really taking those little moments and checking in with yourself. It doesn't have to be hours of meditation every day. That's wonderful if you have time for that, but we all have these little windows of time where if we're not present, our mind's just going wherever it wants to go, and that's usually not in a positive direction.
Yeah, it's like almost like driving a car off the cliff when you don't want it to.
Yeah.
But yeah, you are right though, because I mean, it's like not everybody is available for hours of meditation. It's great to actually try to find windows of time or pockets of time and actually make them to check in with yourself. And I mean, heck, the shower, that's probably one of the best places for it, because all the water going down and helps you think and may come up with a new idea, and just have to find a way to get it down on paper or like have a voice recorder recorded.
Yeah, absolutely. And I love that image too, because I do tell my clients to imagine the water like washing away all the negativity, anything that they don't want. Just imagine it washing down the drain, and water's healing. You know, we're lucky we have running water, you know, being grateful for that, and just setting those new intentions for the day, even like getting clear on what you want and being very present. That's usually, even as parents, usually that's the only place we have that is totally guaranteed quiet. You know? There's sacred time. So, you know, taking those moments and really making the most of them. And a lot of times I will tell my clients too, just to, during the day, check in with yourself. Where am I? Where have I been the last 10 minutes? You know, have I been in my head worrying about something that's going to happen? Or, you know, have I been actually present and doing something I love? And that's really important too, you know, doing the things that you love. A lot of people have guilt around that, making time for themselves. Again, they just feel like they're on that hamster wheel, you know, and doing the stuff they need to do. But we all have our gifts, and we all have our callings, and we all have the things that make us feel connected with our soul and that joy. And we all really do need to connect with those things, whether it's, you know, being out in nature or cooking, or, you know, for me it's dance and writing, whatever it is that's going to bring that joy in. We really need to make that space and time for it.
Making that time for it, indeed. And that checking in with yourself is very important, because I know I have a tendency to go in autopilot from time to time.
Yeah. We all do. We're human. But again, it becomes a habit. You know, if we do that a couple times during the day, it becomes a habit that we do, and we'll recognize those times as such powerful times to go within. And whether it's making that gratitude list or doing something that we love, or putting something on the calendar that we're going to be looking forward to, or checking in with our body. I really promote energy work too, really feeling energy in the body and taking that moment to exercises that I give my clients is just to rub your hands together for 30 seconds or a minute with your eyes closed and put your hands a couple of inches apart and feel that energy coursing through your body. It's pretty empowering, and it also quiets the mind, and it also gets us into that childlike state where we're like, whoa, that's kind of cool, And the more we're in that childlike state of wonder, the more we are connecting to our and the more we're allowing that goodness in and that potential instead of being in that negative mindset or repeating the story. When you connect into that energy, you can bathe your body in it. You can make that energy go up and down your body slowly as a relaxation, or just play with it in your hands. It's a good way to become very present. And I know for me, I have a very busy mind, so for me, meditation looks a little different. It is sometimes a guided meditation. It is sometimes playing with energy and repeating a mantra. It doesn't have to be sitting cross-legged, and humming Om, that's fine if that's what works for you. There are so many different ways, too, to get present and meditate and just allow yourself to connect with that innermost part of yourself, which is love, which is that highest potential.
That's right. Without the weed, highest potential. That's what I'm talking about.
Yes.
So what I love about your book is that it goes into 30 different steps, and you got action steps at the end of it. So mind telling us a bit more about those action steps, because those tend to be the more powerful books and folks actually take the action steps within them.
Absolutely. Yeah, the book is divided into 4 parts, and every chapter is pretty short. They're 2 to 5 pages, and they each have an exercise at the end. I divided it into these sections because the first section is all about getting rid of the old stuff, and it's important to get rid of the old stuff before and look at it and take accountability for it before we move forward to the new. So stuff like forgiveness, paying attention to your self-talk, fear and worry, shifting your attention to what you want. The second section is all about the chakra system. So really lead people in an easy way of understanding it. I'd read a lot of chakra books that seemed a little more complicated, so I really wanted to simplify it because it doesn't have to be complicated. They can really make sense. Just as I said, the throat chakra means how you communicate. Your heart chakra means relationships. When you start learning about them, they can seem like they really just make sense, and it makes it easier to hear and listen to your body. Third part is probably my favorite part of the book because it's all about staying in the present moment. So tools like how to tap into self-love, which is so important, probably the most important theme in my book, because we have so many negative messages going about ourselves, and if we don't love ourselves, we won't feel worthy of the lives that we deserve. So really doing that inner work to know that in all our imperfections, we're still perfect. We're on a journey. So chapters like self-love, affirmations, gratitude, energy healing. I have 6 different types of meditation, a chapter on meditation. Anchors, which is a really important chapter because anchors is a short exercise where you really tap into one of your greatest memories with all your senses. So we have no problem, Dom, bringing ourselves to the bad thing he said or she said or they did or, we wish this didn't happen, but we don't bring ourselves to the good moments very often. Or if we do, we kind of smile and say, oh, that was a happy memory, and we move on. But an anchoring moment's really powerful because we take that moment, we close our eyes, and we bring ourselves into one of the happiest memories of our lives, a place where either we felt very peaceful or a lot of joy, and we relive it, and we allow ourselves that joy of sitting in it for even 3 to 5 minutes. It changes us. I co-facilitate a women's group, and we had them do an exercise on anchors and then an exercise, I think it was on fear and worry. So we're like, oh, that one's going to be so hard, and the anchors will be joy. But actually people broke down during the anchoring exercise because it's so powerful when we allow ourselves to recreate that joy. It's an affirmation to our soul that we are grateful for the positive times in life, that we feel safe, that we know there is going to be more positive times. And it really just brings in this feeling of love, and safety. So that's the third section. And the fourth is discover new ways of thought and tools to help. And that's a mixture of some things we're going to have to deal with that might not be so pleasant on this journey to healing, like self-sabotage and our shadows. And then also some things to move forward, tools to move forward, like intention setting, get education, patience with yourself and others, and asking for help. So I love that the book, I do suggest you go through it section by section in order, but you can mix and match the chapters, and the chapters that you feel meet the most resistance, you can move past, but I would say to revisit them because those are probably the ones that need the most attention. We definitely resist what causes us the most fear or worry or pain, what we feel like it might cause us the most pain. But in revisiting those moments, we can really bring in true healing. So this is a very gentle book. I do ask that, when you read it, the self-love is the most important. As we look at these past patterns of thought and habits, that negative critic will come up again to judge ourselves. And really, if we can do this in a loving manner and say, okay, this was up until this point, my life was this way, but I want to make it better, and this will be a little bit of a journey, but say I had this negative pattern in place for 10 years, it's not going to be in place for 10 years. It might be like a month or 2 months of doing these affirmations or healing work where I can really switch the energy and in turn switch my life.
That is great right there, especially the self-love and the self-talk piece. I mean, with the self-talk, it can be dangerous when most of the thoughts a day are, I think it's 80% you said earlier?
Yeah. 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 It doesn't really allow for the best potential to come in.
Yeah, that's right. And then if you're around negative people and they say one thing, actually let it get to you, then you compound that with the negative self-talk. It's like,
Yeah.
So you need that self-love to actually counteract that, which is really great right there.
It is really important. And again, it's not something we really learn. We learn to be kind to others, but we really need to be kind to ourselves. And I've seen so often in my practice, the people that don't have that self-worth, they attract the relationships that reflect not having that self-worth.
True indeed. Law of attraction too as well.
Absolutely.
Oh, yes, ma'am, indeed. So any plans for another book in the future?
I will be doing another book, but the next step is writing and making an online course, so that's what I'm working on now. And I did start another book on my own healing modality, but that's paused for a little while I work on an online course. But, yeah, really always love creating, always love learning. I'm always taking probably 2 courses at a time and reading books. My passion is really to give people as many tools as possible so that they can choose what resonates with them. The word I use, healer, intuitive healer, it's a word that describes what I do. I don't like it in that I don't heal anybody. I think that I provide the tools and can provide the loving energy to support someone, to catalyze that and use it for their own change. But I do believe that all healing comes from within and that we're all capable of great change and having wonderful lives.
Indeed. So in speaking of amazing lives, if you were to wake up tomorrow and you're 25 in the current year, what advice would you give to yourself now that you have all this acquired knowledge and experience?
Love yourself. Ask yourself what you want in that moment in every aspect of your life, what feels good, wonderful in terms of a support system, in terms of what you'd like to do, in terms of what brings you joy, and give yourself permission to own it, to know that you can do it all and you can have it all. You just have to overcome your biggest critic, which is usually yourself. So again, just giving yourself that self-love. If you find any part where you feel stuck in your life, there are priceless tools for free, or books and courses and things online in your library. Just know that you're not stuck. If you feel stuck, ask for help, and you can overcome anything. Woohoo! Woohoo!
That's what I'm talking about, indeed. That's what I'm talking about, indeed. Have that self-love and overcome everything. That's right. You can have it all. You can have the cake and eat it, too, with 50 cherries on top. That's what I'm talking about.
Sounds good.
So for those who want to keep in contact with you, what's the best way to reach you?
They could reach me on my website, jennymannion.com, JennyMannion.com. They could go to Amazon and grab a copy of my book, A Short Path to Change, and that comes with a 20-minute complimentary session with me. So there's a couple different ways to get in touch with me, but I would love to connect and always welcome talking to people and offering tools that can help.
Oh, yeah, that's right, indeed. So go out there and sign up for that email list and get all of that Jenny goodness. She's Jenny from the Healing Block, baby. From the Healing Block, baby. That's right. Woo! So, what a parting word?
Yeah, just that I really enjoyed the time speaking with you, Dom. You're so easy to speak with, and I do want people, especially during these holiday seasons where triggers are ignited, to just try to be present. The energy we put out there comes back to us. So if we can fill ourselves with joy and positive thoughts, before going out to maybe a difficult situation with relatives, the more we fill ourselves with that joyful energy, the more that comes across. And just really being extra loving with yourself and kind to yourself, and knowing that the more you do that, the more you attract goodness to you.
Thanks a bunch for your listening ears on the Going North podcast. I hope you really, really enjoyed that episode. If you enjoyed the episode, be sure to share it with your friends and family, especially those who love podcasts and love listening to some inspiration and motivation.